All right, next question, Pastor Steve. Does the Bible say that we have to go to a formal church? Is there a reason I can't instead do Bible studies at home or in a home fellowship or in a family setting where we read the Bible, pray together, and fellowship that way?
You know what? If that was all you had, then that would be just fine. But the Bible talks about the fact that we're not supposed to be forsaking the gathering of ourselves together, and what it's talking about is church. This is in out of the book of Hebrews in chapter 10, verse 24, I believe it is. Let me look here. Verse 25. Verse 24 says, "Let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as is the manner of some, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching." The church was put together by Jesus. He's the one who started this whole thing. And when you look at the church in the New Testament, it comes out of the synagogue. And so Jews didn't sit at home by themselves reading their Bibles. And Jews didn't have little family churches. They didn't do it that way. It was a communal type of thing where the believers got together and you had the body of Christ. And so no, I don't think it's good enough to sit at home. In fact, some of the strangest people I have ever met are people who choose to sit at home and say that they're following God instead of being involved with the rest of the body of Christ. There are times when you can't help that. Like you're an invalid and you're sick at home and you can't help that. And God understands that, and He covers for that. But God doesn't have a track record of covering disobedience. And so again, we just had a last question about being an introvert. I would have no problem at all sitting at home forever reading my Bible and just me and my family. I would have no problem with that, except that I know that that's not what God's called us to. And so I have to interact with other people. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens the countenance of his friend. And so when you're getting together with people at church, what's happening is there's iron sharpening iron, and people are growing. Christians are. This is a illustration I got from my pastor. Christians are like coals in a barbecue. When you have all the coals together, they stay hot. But when you take one and you stick it off by itself, it gets cold really quick. And you can do that with 2 or 3. They're going to get cold really quick. Where if they're with the rest of the body of Christ, they're not. And so God has designed us to be in fellowship with one another, and I don't see a need to thwart that whole thing. There are things that will help me to grow, and there are things that will stop growth in my life. And becoming an island to myself is one that will stop you dead in the water. So the Bible's clear on the fact that you don't want to go there. You want to make sure that you're hanging out with other believers. So
Cool.
yeah.